want you to come to my concert. And at the time, I heard concert, but I didn't hear my. I thought he was taking me on a date to a concert. And he was in Memphis at the time, but he was going to New York, and I was in LA. And he said, I'm going to book you on a flight if you want to come from LA to New York, and try to get you there in time for the concert tonight. And I said, okay. And I started thinking, is Dave going to pick me up? And I'm going to sit behind Elvis the rest of the week. Anyway, he said, can you be ready in 2 hours? And I said, yes. So I thought, I've got a few more minutes to tan and, all that. Well, I hung up the phone. Less than 5 minutes, the housekeeper comes back, picks up the phone, hands it to me. Not happy at this point. I said, hello. He said, this is Elvis. Can you be ready in an hour? I'm trying to figure out the time zone and the flying time and coordinate it with us getting there, all this. And I said, yeah, I think I can. So I hung up. Went and thought, well, I guess I better go in the house and start to get ready. So the phone rang again. The housekeeper comes to me, just going, with this really mad look on her face. She's trying to clean, and I'm having her answer my calls. And I said, hello. He said, this is Elvis. Can you be ready in 30 minutes? I am covered in oil, and my hair is messy, and I had more hair then than I do now. And I said, yes, whatever. He said, give me your address. I'm going to send my chauffeur, and I'm going to have my Learjet bring you out here because there's no commercial flights that are at the time frame that I need. And he said, you'll be the only one on there except for the pilot and the co-pilot, and I think it holds 5 people. I'm like, okay. And he said, don't worry about packing. Just be ready, and I'll get what you need when you get here. And I thought, I'm taking everything I own because I'm not spending my time with Elvis shopping because he won't be with me. So I ran through the shower really quick, put my hair in hot curlers, threw everything in a bag. I didn't fold. I just crammed. And then the doorbell rang, and I ran to the door, and it was this tall English butler-looking guy, full uniform, and he looked at me like, are you Diana? I said, yes. And he just shook his head like Elvis had lost his mind. I still had the curlers. I had on some jeans and a little peasant shirt and some big, tall shoes and dragging about 5 ratty bags behind me. One of them was so full it started to bust open. I had to put some duct tape around it. So I'm like, here I am, ready or not. He said, well, you have some time to prepare while you're on the airplane. So he threw my stuff in the car, got to the airport. Sure enough, his Learjet was sitting there, cranked and ready, and the pilot came out, and they got all my stuff on there and closed the door, put on my seatbelt, and I was off to an adventure that would forever change my life.
You cry, I cry,
It's so weird. I've been emotional 2 different times when I talk about him and the way things happened, the way things ended, and the way things are still current, with all y'all and with us that have memories. And so do you want me to keep talking?
Yeah, come on. I'm with the suitcase there. I'm just sitting behind you.
You can envision my luggage on top of the plane, taped on. And, I think I was in love with him at that moment. Mm-hmm. I mean, he moved some pretty big hurdles to bring me to meet him. And I was so impressed. I mean, when I look back now, I don't know what it was, if he needs some new inspiration. I don't know, but you don't often get picked up for a date in a Lear. And so Anyway, we flew and flew and flew and flew and flew and flew and flew. My hair fell. I took my hair down. It fell. I rolled it back up. I put on makeup. I took it off. Went like for 5 hours. And finally, the pilot came back and he said, we're not going to make it in time. And I was so disappointed. And he said, Elvis said, when we land, to take you and put you on another waiting airplane, and he would meet you there. The concert has ended, and he is in a limo headed to the airplane, and we would meet there. So we didn't get me there in time. There's a 5-hour flight and a 3-hour time difference, so 8 hours. And this was, I don't know, 10 or 11 when I talked to him that day, but I love him for trying. I mean, I just love that he was trying to work it all out in his mind. And so I got off that airplane, went on to that other, and this was not the Lisa Marie. It was the one that he used previous. I don't know the name of that or what kind it was. I don't remember, but it was, all redone inside. There was tables and benches, like a little restaurant almost, or a coffee shop. And so they took me into that airplane, put all my stuff in, and showed me to a seat, gave me a Diet Shasta Cola, and I sat there and waited. And so about 30 minutes later, I could hear a lot of hustle and bustle outside. And I looked out the window, and there's limos coming and just this rush of cars. It's always a chase with him, especially on tour. Because people, they know where he is all the time, and they just are trying to find him, get a glimpse, get a picture. So people started getting out of cars and running up the stairs and rushing into the airplane. I saw bodyguards. I saw some familiar faces. Didn't see Elvis yet. But then finally, I saw this blur of a person rush across this cape, just flew across the front of the airplane into another section that was curtained off, like a private area. And then the pilot said, buckle up. So I was assuming that was Elvis who went in that curtained off area. And so I was already buckled and waiting, and wheels up, we were off. So we flew probably another half hour, and I'm still sitting there all by myself. People were cordial, asked me if I needed anything, and, I saw lots of people. Finally, the pilot said we were approaching, which times and destinations escape me because sometimes we would wake up and I would not know where we were geographically because the coming and going was so fast, and I don't recall a lot of that. I tried to make notes I have a notebook where I wrote down things years past and kept magazines, and a lot of that prompts my memory as to where we were and what was going on. But finally, when they said we were approaching the runway, the curtain opens and he walks out. And he has changed clothes and freshened up, and I'm going to say that was all for me. But I'm sure he does that every time after a show. He's pretty sweaty. But here he comes down the aisle towards me, just like he did that day out of the front door of the house at Graceland, except this time I know he's coming to me, for me, and he sat down right beside me. And he took my hand, and he said, I'm so sorry you didn't get here. I tried, and I'm sorry that you had to get on another airplane, and I know you must be tired, and I really appreciate your patience and all this stuff. I'm thinking, it's okay. I'll fly another 5 hours for you. And so then I was very into turquoise jewelry at that time, kind of a little bit of a boho, hippie type, but not so much. Anyway, I had turquoise on every hand, around my neck, around my ears, everything. My little peasant blouse and jeans, and he said, I see you like turquoise. I said, yeah, I do. And he said, I do too. I really like turquoise. And he kind of fingered my ring around, and he said, do you wear jeans a lot? I said, yeah. It's kind of like what we wear. He goes, would you mind if you didn't wear jeans? And I said, I guess not, but did they not look good on me? I said, no, when I was growing up, all we had was denim. I was very poor, and it kind of a reminder. And if you don't mind, I'll replace anything you have if you wouldn't mind not to wear jeans. And I said, well, okay, I'm okay with that. But he was not articles and things that come out make it sound like he was a demanding ogre, blah, blah. Not at all. He was very kind, and he shared his heart. If he asked something of you, he had a reason for it. As I learned through being around him, there was a reason for everything he asked of me, or everything that we did. There was a means to the, a method to the madness, so to speak. And I said, okay, I've got other stuff in my bag. Probably all wrinkled by now. It's been in there like 9 hours and it's crammed. But that was kind of a tender moment. He still had those memories of growing up hard. And I don't know if you've read anything about his childhood, and you know that he was a twin, and his parents were so poor that his mom could not afford a doctor. And she didn't even know she was having twins. I mean, they didn't have ultrasounds and all that back then, but doctors could tell. But she didn't even know that when the first child was born, not alive, she thought that was it. That was her only child, had not lived. And then there were the signs of something else was going on. And then Elvis was born. And so I get chills thinking about it, because it was like in just a few seconds, she lost a child but gained a child. And he became her complete joy. And can you not imagine why, And then the hard times that they had, his dad couldn't find work, and then he got in some trouble, and then he straightened out, and then they became a closer family, moved to Memphis to try to do better in their lives. When he was in school, he would take his guitar sometimes to school, because he didn't have a ton of friends, and he loved music. And one day, some of the kids thought it'd be funny to smash his guitar his mom had just saved money for to buy at that hardware store. And, because he had a little unique look and was, he liked to wear colors and wear his hair a little different. But music. And his mom, he went to churches that had exciting and upbeat music. And his mom said, she saw that he was inspired by the music, and that could be what drew Elvis out, drew his personality out. So that's why she got him that guitar. And sure enough, he just tried to teach himself. And then they found, I think a youth pastor in the church gave him lessons for free, teach him how to play. And he went to church there, and then he played in the church. And then, his music and his love for it, the passion he had, and how it brought him out became what he became, that music. And I think we can all agree that what the music did to him, his music does to us. That spirit of joy and excitement, and even if you're unique or you're a little lonely or loner, that music is your company, and it also draws people into you. But so anyway, knowing the struggles coming up and all, I can totally understand how, like now, I didn't grow up poor. We were, there were 5 kids, 2 parents, and we lived modestly. My dad had to work a lot so that my mom could stay home and take care of all of us, and made all of our clothes, and cooked all of our meals and stuff like that. But
what?
I totally could get, I had to iron everybody's clothes. I do not iron today. I mean, I grew up ironing for 7 people. And so, don't give me no iron. So it's kind of like a little bit, anything you grow up doing that you're done with, whether it's denim or the iron. So I could relate to a certain extent. Anyway, so we flew a little bit longer, and then we finally landed, and we were going to the hotel. that they were going to stay in that night, and then it would be where he would have a show the next evening, I believe. A lot of this runs together. I try to track it right in my book, but if you see discrepancies as to what you may know, that it's all there. There just might be a time difference, but so we didn't get out in the airport like most people, like walking through the gate and all. We get out on the tarmac, out from the gate, so that he can have cars drive right up to the stairs of the airplane and get all your stuff, and got us off the plane, put us in limos, and then the caravan goes to the hotel. I think it was a Hilton. And we go in the back up the service entrance so that he could have privacy and get up to his suite of rooms that I think the Hilton usually had a special area that they always kept for him because he liked to stay at Hiltons. So they would have suites that were made up different than all the other rooms in the hotel. So he walked me first to one room, and he said, "This is your room." And it was all like yellow, big fluffy bed, pillows, covering, like a princess room. And he said, "I am not a make-out artist, and I want you to have your privacy. Whatever happens between us will be your call." And so I was like, wow. Because, up to this point, I'm not thinking about what's next. I'm just thinking about, here we are, and I'm going to see Elvis, and we're going to go on a date. I'm not thinking what's going to happen beyond that. And I'm not naive, but I was, a fairly naive sense, But he showed me to my room. And then he took me into, there was a living room and like a little kitchen area, and then on the other side was his room. And his bathroom, and I had my own bathroom. And so he took me back to my room, and there were boxes and boxes of presents on the bed, wrapped in bows, big white boxes. And he said, "You don't know my life, and I don't want to assume that you don't know how to dress or that you don't have anything good. But you don't know my life and how it is, and people are in and out. And I want you to be comfortable, and I want to make sure that you had clothing that you were comfortable wearing as lounging things when people came in and out." And I thought, oh, he's so sweet. And I thought, how does he know my size? All these things you start. So he said, freshen up, unpack, and change, and meet me for dinner in about a half an hour. And I said, "Dinner where? Where are you going?" So we're going to have dinner in the suite. And so I started opening boxes and found this beautiful white long gown thing with a white robe, very princessy and ruffly and full and modest. And I put that on and looked in the mirror. I don't wear a ton of makeup, but I had all this little Bonnie Bell stuff. I don't know if y'all had that brand. Little blush pots that go on your cheeks and your lips. And I thought, wow, can I get ready in 30 minutes to go and have dinner with Elvis? I mean, this whole process has been, how do you prepare yourself when you're going to go have dinner or on a date with Elvis? And you really don't know what to expect. I mean, I figured all the bodyguards, their girlfriends, their wives, half the police in town would be in this suite having dinner because that just seemed the way it was. So I went through the two rooms, and the door was open. There was a dining room in his part of the suite, and walked in. He walked over, met me at the door, took me to the table, and candlelight, flowers, and pulled my chair out. I sat down, and he said, "I wasn't sure what you might want to eat, so I just had him bring up one of everything." So he had a cart, literally drawers and domes of food, and everything, Southern style for sure. steak, hamburgers, fried chicken, fish. And so I was so excited and nervous. I really didn't want anything to eat. And I had not eaten all day long because on that flight in Atlanta, you get peanuts and a Coke or a Diet Coke back then. Now you don't get peanuts because everybody's allergic. So I thought, I said, what are you having? Because I didn't want to choose what he might want. So I told him, he had this big hamburger steak smothered with onions and mashed potatoes and bread and tea and milk, I think, was there. And so when he asked me what I just said, I'll take that hamburger and fries. Seemed easy. And so he put that in front of me, and then he said, don't worry about the onions. I've got some banaka over here. I wasn't even thinking about you eating onions. I could care less. It's just too cute to worry about that. So, and sure enough, we ate and, had light conversation, but mostly both of us were hungry and tired. And after he ate, sure enough, he grabbed that. You know what banaka is? I don't know if they still have it, but it's a little mouthwash squirt that's very strong. I think we have mints like that now. But sure enough, he squirted that in his mouth and all done. But so we'll segue into the next day. Oh, no, but a very important detail. After we ate dinner, we moved over to the sofa and just kind of sat and talked, just light chit-chat. And he asked me if I'd ever been to one of his shows, and I said no. I hated to tell him that. But I had not been to a concert yet, and he said, well, you're going to go to one tomorrow night. And I'm like, oh, I'm going to go with him to my very first Elvis concert. I'm going to go with him, Elvis, and I'm going to go home with him afterwards. You know what I'm saying, girls? We sit in a concert and we're like, oh, God, I wish I could go home with him. Well, my dream was going to come true. I was actually going to leave with the man that I came with. But the cool thing is we had a chance to talk, and I know you think you can't know each other in 24 hours, but you can know a lot. Your hearts can knit together in a short time. You can feel that kindred spirit. But he took my hand, that same hand that he had kind of touched on the airplane. He said, I have a present for you. And he gave me a little black velvet box. And I opened it, and I'm like, the first words out of my mouth is, are these real diamonds? And he was so offended. He said, do you think I would give you a fake ring? I said, I don't know, but I have never had anything like this or even seen anything up close that was so beautiful. And so I decided that I would bring that ring with me, and that ring I'm wearing today. It's a diamond and sapphire on a gold band, and he said that he designed it especially for me, and Lowell Hayes made it, and he brought it on the trip and put it on my finger that night, and I was just like Cinderella, the princess. So.
And the big secret is now that it's going to the museum in Memphis Mansion. Oh, no? No? Okay.
Eventually, I think it should.
Teasing.
He literally gave me a gift every day, sometimes twice a day. Just so generous. And I learned about him. You know, there was some drama that went on one of the nights with the Sweet Inspirations. They got into a little tiff on stage, and I happened to be there for that. And I learned that the way that he communicated love or sorrow was through gifts. Generally, a diamond or a gold ring or a necklace or a car. If he had upset you, he used his words. But the ultimate way for him to try to help you know he loved you or he was sorry was to give you that gift. And those were his favorite things to do. And so, if he didn't sit there and sing words of praise all day or something like that, if you got that special gift, you knew he was trying to tell you something. He wanted to express some sort of affection or gratefulness, whatever he was trying to express. That's what he did. And I have all that stuff at home, and just treasure everything and every moment. And how much time do I have? Is it time for me to stop?
No, Diana, this is amazing.
Okay.
I've just been on a journey and on a trip and seen it through a lady's eyes, the way you saw it. No, but I mean it, It's pretty neat the way that you kind of very detailed explained what you expected, what you hoped for, and sometimes you see some of the girlfriends. I'm not saying this to offend anyone, right? But sometimes you see some of the girlfriends and you think, okay, they were just here for one thing. Not only Elvis, right? But the way you described it, that what you hoped for and what you wished for, it tells me that there was more into it than whatever. And I think, is there something you want to say? No, should we let them ask a few questions if they wanted to?
Sure,
yeah, hey,
sure.
You have the chance now. Diana Goodman is ready if you have some questions. And okay, you're shy. If you don't have any, that's cool too. But I'm so honored that I danced with you Friday.
Me too.
Right, I've been dancing with a lot of girls, and thank you, girls. I really appreciate it because Kita don't allow me to dance. But you danced with me.
He dances
and,
so good.
And we danced to a special song that for this reason from now on will mean a lot to me. But tell the story, okay? Just so the boys can be a little bit in.
One of this, was it It's Now or Never?
No, it was actually Can't Help Falling in Love.
That's right. So one night when he always tried to make dinner special, and most of the time we got to eat alone. And he was really good about carving out, and it's harder on the road, there's people everywhere. So we always try to make sure, and we had breakfast in the room, but everybody was in there. But at dinner, we could have it ourselves. And I tried not to be that fan. I bring out your little Kodak camera and all that. I didn't do any of that. So I don't have a lot of the personal pictures that some people might have, because you didn't sit there and do a selfie with Elvis with your little Kodak, Thankfully, Ron Gallela and some others captured some really special photographs when we were out and about. But this one night, I thought, I wish she would. And it was a few nights after the first concert, and I thought, I wish he would sing a song to me, maybe. Wonder if I could ask him, and kind of feel in the moment, And so after dinner, I said, would you sing a song to me? And he said, sure. Which one? And I said, Can't Help Falling in Love. Because I was going to take those words and own them, no matter why he was singing it. And so he took my hand, we stood up, and we danced, just slow dance and he sang Can't Help Falling in Love.
So I should have been singing the other night. That was
That's
what you were
right.
expecting.
I was
I'm sorry.
waiting for the song to come.
Yeah, sometimes you don't get the signs right, but